How's it hanging, peeps? It's your boy Drew here. Today we're gonna be talking about the NBA trade deadline, which is happening this week, along with the All-Star break. So what I'm gonna be doing is just tell you the teams that I think need to make a trade in order to make an impact in the playoffs, or even to get into the playoffs. Now, the first two teams that popped into mind, without even looking at the standings right now, is Houston, which I believe they are in like the 4th seed. All they really have is James Harden. I mean, they have a couple of good players that are quality players, like Trevor Ariza, Eric Gordon. But rather than that, it's pretty much James Harden's team. No one else was really there with them. So I think if they traded for someone like a Blake Griffin, who's going to be a free agent next year, which I'm going to be surprised if the LA Clippers trade him away. I don't know. It depends on how the negotiations are going. So we'll see how that hangs out. And then the other team that is in contention with the Rockets is the OKC Thunder. And as you all know the story of Kevin Durant, I'm not even going to talk about that. They need someone else besides Russ, because it's the same situation there. It's just Russ all by himself. Both these guys are triple-double machines, and I wouldn't be surprised if they teamed up again in the future. Rather, if Harden leaves Houston and comes back to OKC, and then they try to get back at KD. We don't know. But I think they both need a center. The Dwight Howard thing didn't really work out in Houston. And I hate to say this, but Sam Adams is overrated. Highly overrated. He's not a great player. He's not good. He's a bum. They don't have small forwards on either team, and they really don't have any backup point guards on either team. So I don't know if they'll trade for a star, but we'll see what happens. I don't know what would fit, especially for center-wise, since the whole Dwight Howard thing didn't really work out. Although Dwight Howard hasn't found his magic since Orlando. So we'll see how that hangs out. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, now for the East. Now, a lot of these East teams is always, for the 6 through 8 seed, it's always really close. So any of the teams really below there need to make a trade. And the teams that stick out in mind are the Detroit Pistons, the Chicago Bulls, the Bucks, Charlotte, Miami, Indiana. Those teams need another superstar in order to be a competitive team. A lot of these teams, like Milwaukee, that are really inconsistent. All they have is one good player, and he can't carry them all the way yet because they're still young. Like Charlotte, all they have is Kemba Walker. And all these guys are great players. But again, it's just like OKC and Houston. They can't do it by themselves. They need someone else. The Pistons, which I'm going to play a little bit of favoritism here in case you all don't know, that's my favorite team. They are a little bit of disappointment this year. Reggie Jackson has not played well, so I won't be surprised if they make a trade away Reggie, or if Reggie steps up and starts playing better. If any of these teams get a superstar, which probably won't happen during a trade, more in free agency this year, it'll be probably a little bit better than that, than making trade away draft picks or something. But any of these teams, especially Indiana, if they get someone to go along with Paul George or Miles Turner, they'll be back to contention with the Cavs. Although someone needs to make a trade right now since Kevin Love's hurt, and he's going to be out for what, 6 weeks, month and a half, something like that. I won't be surprised if Atlanta trades away Dwight Howard. He hasn't really played bad, but he hasn't played great either. Paul Millsap's a free agent after this year, so if they want him to stay around, they need to prove that they're all going to be about winning, which I don't see them making it out of the second round. They'll probably get out of the first round depending on who they play as a matchup. But Dennis Schroeder, he's okay. He's not as good as Jeff Teague was in his prime. It's just been a rough history for Atlanta. You know, they had Josh Smith and Joe Johnson, who looked promising, and then Josh Smith left and never found his magic again. Joe Johnson got old and left. So then they had Al Horford, who looked great, and then he left, and they got Dwight Howard, and then Dwight Howard is not the same player as he was. So I don't know why I'm talking about Dwight Howard so much in this video, but he is here. Washington's another good team that needs to make a trade. If they can get a true backup point guard, Trey Burke is not the guy for them. He doesn't give John Wall hardly any breaks. If they can't progress him and make him a true point guard, I don't see him staying around. I don't know what they would trade for. Probably someone who can shoot. So that way, if they get someone who's inconsistent, he'll have those days where if he's not shooting the ball, he's going to be passing it. But if he's hot, he's feeling it. Someone like, I don't know, like a Mo Williams maybe. A little veteran guy who can shoot, although he is getting up there in age. Boston's another good team that's just one piece away from being a competitor. If not, they're not right now. I was been a fan of Boston this year. Call me a bandwagoner. I knew they were going to be good. I didn't know they were going to be this good. They're only 2.5 games back away from Cleveland at this point in time, which I don't know if they'll be able to beat Cleveland. I think that's going to be the series. I think that's going to be better than the NBA Finals. But I don't know if any of these teams in the East right now are going to be competitive with Cleveland and beat them. Toronto's fell off a little bit this year. They've been kind of a disappointing team. They were supposed to be the second seed, and they're the 5th seed in the East. Although they just traded for Serge Ibaka, I didn't see that coming. I would have never guessed that. I think Serge is going to be a good fit for them. My brother would agree. I'm sure many of you would agree with that. But they are really, I don't know, guard heavy. If DeRozan is not playing good, there's a good chance they're not going to be winning. They'll probably lose by 10 or 15 points. Kyle Lowry, I personally think he's a little tatty bit overrated, although I would love to have him. I don't know how to say this. He's really inconsistent. One day he looks like the greatest point guard in the league, and the next day he just looks slightly above average. He's one of those players where if he needs to step up if DeRozan ain't playing good, which they usually play good in the regular season, but come playoff time they choke a lot, which they almost lost to the Pacers last year in the first round. It went to 7 games. I personally think the Pacers should have played harder. That's Game 7 and beat them, but whatever. So that's going to be pretty much it for the East. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think what the East team should be making a trade. Back to the West real quick. I think Denver needs to make a good trade. Get a true point guard. Make Emmanuel Mudiay come off the bench. Jermel Nelson's, I think there's a backup right now. He's not going to be cutting it much longer. He's going to get up there with age. Now, the team that comes to mind real quick that can compete with San Antonio and Golden State if they make a trade right now, get a true small forward, the LA Clippers. Now, they have some pieces to be traded here. Paul Pierce was kind of a disappointment signing for them. They signed Josh Smith a couple years ago. Didn't work out. Lance Stevenson didn't work out. Jeff Green didn't work out. They cannot find a small forward that fits for them. So if they can trade away and get someone out of that, they have some young players that if someone wants to gamble on, like a 76ers or something. Get a couple draft picks maybe out of it. Who knows what could happen? I don't know any small forwards that are going to be a free agent right off the top of my head that might get traded away. I would try to trade for Antetokounmpo. I don't know if Milwaukee has him on the table or anything. I wouldn't. But if they get Antetokounmpo, that would be just amazing, which I don't know, that's a fantasy dream. That's a my league scenario. I don't know why I keep hearing Gordon Hayward's name in free agent rumors or trade rumors. I actually think he is going to be a free agent this summer. If I was Utah, I would not let him go. That guy is a beast. He is the greatest white player in the league right now. I support him proudly. He represents our people very well. I don't know where he would go. If Utah is actually trying to trade him away, if he's not going to be interested in coming back to Utah. But I think they've been the NBA surprise team this year. They played really well so far, and they're looking to keep it up. And I don't see anything slowing them down until playoff time, where they have to go against the best of the best every single night. So we'll see how that plays out since they're a young team. San Antonio, they're fine. Golden State doesn't need anything. Memphis, they are starting to get up there in age. They don't really have any young players anymore. Vince Carter is still a stud for him, even though he's like 45 years old. Mike Conley's still doing all right. Marc Gasol's doing good, but both him and his brother Powell are getting really up there in age. Zach Randolph, he's older than my grandfather. So they need to find some young talent that they can develop real quick. So that way, once these players start getting hurt more often and they start to retire, that they'll be in okay hands, knowing their future, which is what the Spurs did with Kawhi Leonard. They traded him for what's the guy from Utah? George Hill or whatever his name is, and they developed him while they still had Tim Duncan. So if Memphis can do something like that, they'll be in all right hands. Sacramento, it's just a waste of time down there. All they have is Boogie. There's no immediate pieces that could help them out. So I mean, I don't know. The West, the bottom teams are kind of a disaster. The Pelicans need to get someone to go with Anthony Davis. Minnesota Timberwolves are just a piece away. The Lakers need some help. Phoenix needs help. So that's pretty much it. Comment down below what you think should happen in the West. As always, peace out, guys. Have fun.